Tampa Bay Now News at 10 is brought to you by the law offices of Catania and Catania.
Mother Nature clearly put her mark on us.
Now, the most important stories from across the country and here at home. A deeper dive into the biggest stories impacting you and your family, your wallet and your money.
Sock some money away and don't touch it.
Medical breakthroughs that can change your life.
PCR is no longer the gold standard. It's the dog.
The positive and the inspiration.
Aloha fur babies. I hope you guys go to good, loving homes.
I'm Tracy Bragg. Your news starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Hughes. Well, the tropics, they're definitely getting more active with a few systems to keep an eye on. Meteorologist Eric Fisher joins us now with the latest on that. Eric?
Certainly this season, you get to mid-August, all of a sudden, things get very busy in a hurry. So here's where things stand tonight. Of course, all the flooding in Southern California over the weekend. Hillary, post-tropical system, the remnants now all the way up into the Pacific Northwest tonight. Closer to home, we have a new tropical depression, number 9. This one's moving away from Florida over towards South Texas, but it could become a tropical storm over the next couple of days. We also have a tropical storm with Franklin, which is moving due north up toward Hispaniola with a flash flood risk. Gertz, that's farther to the east. That's falling apart. Emily also falling apart. Another wave that's off of Africa, not of immediate concern. So the closest one to Florida is number 9, and this is making its way over toward Brownsville. Not expected to become a powerful storm, maybe just becoming a tropical storm, but heavy rainfall and some flash flooding would be the main threat there in South Texas. Then you've got Franklin. This one has a little bit more with it, and heavy rainfall will be the risk, especially toward the Dominican Republic, where flash flooding always a problem with the mountainous terrain there. That will be increasing as we head toward the middle of the week. Then it's going to be drifting out in the Atlantic. At the moment, it looks like it'll stay pretty far off to the east of Florida, but certainly a reminder, 2/3 of all tropical systems now till October 10th. So we're right in the heart of the season. Things are expected to stay pretty busy, and Lisa will be keeping a close eye on things to see if any of these systems affect Florida down the road.
Excellent. Eric, thanks so much. Well, you wouldn't think that anyone would feel lucky after getting struck by lightning, but a Lake Nona woman does. She was about to leave her home for a Beyonce concert last week when she was struck. Michelle Meredith spoke with her fiancé.
Lauro and Rebecca Soto, along with their trusty companion Drake, live a sweet life in the Lake Nona area. On Tuesday, Rebecca spent the first part of her evening getting ready for the concert of a lifetime.
My wife was painting her nails and trying on outfits for a Beyonce concert that she was planning to attend with some friends the next day.
But it's what happened the last part of the evening that almost took her life. According to her husband, Rebecca and the dog walked outside for a quick potty break. Lauro says out of nowhere he heard a burst of thunder.
I've never heard a boom like that ever in my life.
You race outside and your wife is on the sidewalk.
Yes, she was lying face down, and she looked completely limp. As soon as I flipped her over, my first thought that she's dead. A couple bystanders came, and people that were riding bikes or just walking by kind of saw the frantic scene that was happening, and they stopped and they were able to help me.
Rebecca was taken to ORMC, where she got the medical help that saved her life.
It's remarkable, honestly, just thinking back to Tuesday night and to where we are now. I never thought that I would be smiling and laughing with my wife.
Now, Rebecca's husband says that she's walking, she's talking. They're very encouraged by that, but that it's going to take a little while before they know the true extent of her injuries. In the meantime, they're together.
Just every moment that I'm able to spend with her, I'm really wanting to cherish that.
And now taking nothing for granted.
Wow, so glad for them. That was Michelle Meredith reporting. Other news now, a federal appeals court will hear arguments on Thursday on a challenge to the state law that restricts teaching race-related issues during workplace training. That portion of the law is on hold right now because a judge ruled that it violates the First Amendment rights of businesses. The state is arguing the law restricts conduct, not speech. A new poll shows Governor DeSantis' presidential campaign is not winning over voters in Iowa. This is a poll that shows former President Trump getting 42% of the vote and holding a 23-point lead over Governor DeSantis. DeSantis is the only other GOP candidate to get double-digit support. He picked up 19%. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott had 9%. Now, there is a piece of good news in this poll for Governor DeSantis. More than half of the people who responded said they could be persuaded to pick someone else. Gas prices dipped over the weekend, but not enough to offset a surge earlier in the week. AAA says the average price of a gallon of regular unleaded gas Monday in Florida is $3.81. That's up 8 cents over last week. And those gas prices, they're probably just going to keep climbing because of the storms that we're watching that Eric was just talking about in the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico.
Now that the tropics are heating up, if we have a major storm threaten the refineries along the Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi coastlines, you can very easily see gas prices spike as a result of that.
Now, Florida's average price Monday was 33 cents a gallon higher than a month ago and 27 cents more than a year ago. Animal rights activists are protesting the death of Lolita, the killer whale, who had been in captivity for at least 5 decades at the Miami Seaquarium. Officials say that the orca died as they were preparing to send her back to her home waters. They believe she died from a renal condition days after officials say she was showing signs of serious discomfort. The animal rights activists expressed their grief, saying they have been fighting for years to free Lolita from her tank.
She was so close to going home. She was doing so much better. And the only good thing about this is that she's finally free. I'm upset because I'm very disappointed that it had to end this way.
Lolita was captured back in the 70s in Seattle. She was about 4 years old, and she was then sold to the Miami Seaquarium. Officials believe Lolita was at least 57 when she died, making her the oldest killer whale living in captivity. 4 astronauts have begun final preparations for their launch to the International Space Station. They're expected to lift off early Friday morning. NASA astronaut Jasmine Mogbel is the only American on board. She is a veteran Marine combat helicopter pilot, a space rookie, and a mother of twin 2-year-old girls. She's going to be joined by 3 other international crew members.
Moving to California now, historic rain, flooding, and mudslides overnight as post-Category 4 Hurricane Hilary arrived on the coast last night, trapping vehicles, clogging roadways, and leaving many people in need of rescue, making it the first tropical storm to hit the West Coast in more than 8 decades. And now many communities in Southern California are beginning to clean up. People in LA were lucky, waking up with minimal damage, but other parts of the state have big messes to clean up. We spoke to Jason Allen earlier today, who has more from California. Jason Allen joins me now from Palm Springs, California. Jason, you mentioned the National Guard has been called in to help with rescues. How much of an impact have you seen them have in an area that obviously hasn't seen an event like this in decades?
Yeah, and to that point, the National Guard has had to stage, really, while they wait for bulldozers just to try to clear a path into some of these neighborhoods. Even the trucks that they brought weren't able to access things right away. I was just talking to the fire chief a little bit ago, who said that in some cases they're finding some streets, some houses where there is still 5 feet of mud. That said, they are making progress. They've started to reach some of the places and the people they need to, so they're hopeful that they can complete those missions here in the afternoon hours.
Well, something that area just, hasn't seen in so long, but that's not all they're dealing with, right? There was a 5-point magnitude earthquake that also shook parts of Southern California this weekend. What are people saying about that event as well?
It made a lot of people's eyes really wide and jaws drop. And I think it was just almost the absurdity of it all to have both a tropical storm that was a hurricane and that earthquake happening all at the same time. Now, damage-wise, not excessive, right? But it's just when you have 2 of those events happen simultaneously, it shook a lot of nerves. I had somebody tell me this morning, I love it here, this is where I want to live, but then when things like this happen, you go, I'm not sure, is this the place I want to live anymore? It's been a difficult 24 to 36 hours for people here in Southern California.
I bet. And looking behind you, I mean, looking at that scene behind you, is that what you've seen kind of all across the area that you've been in today?
It's not all across the area. I don't also want to say that it's necessarily isolated. Some of the areas near the washes look like this, and Interstate 10 is closed in both directions for a really good distance that goes around the Coachella Valley here, and people getting into Palm Springs have had some difficulty that. So Fire Chief was telling me it could be another 2 days, maybe even 3 days before all of this mess just dries out enough so that they can even move it off of some of these roads.
Wow. Jason Allen, thank you so much. We know that you'll stay on top of everything that is going on out in Southern California. Thank you. Now let's bring in meteorologist Colin Myers, who's been tracking this storm for us for several days now. Colin, does this storm still pose a risk for people out west?
Fortunately, Trayson, this is moving on and weakening. Good news today. It really weakened as it moved up over San Francisco and now north of that. You can see the swirl from that dying storm now. Hard to believe it was almost a Category 5, very close, right down here. Moved over cooler waters and now is dissipating over land. Elsewhere in the Atlantic, look at where we stand tonight. Just now, the latest in from the Hurricane Center, Tropical Depression 9 has formed. This will likely become a tropical storm tomorrow, either Harold or perhaps later another name if it depends on how this one forms. This could also be a very weak low-end hurricane tomorrow, not out of the question with how warm the waters are. Elsewhere, Gert, Emily, Franklin, and a high chance of formation. So 5 spots in the Atlantic. Let's zoom in here on Future Spin. Notice this one, the remnants of what will impact Texas tomorrow will be taken up in the jet stream all the way over Colorado, Utah, Wyoming. Unbelievable, really, to think about that. Good news is things kind of stay quiet for the continental United States, but the Atlantic just getting going. Look at that. Could be a big hurricane by early next week just off the eastern seaboard. Let's zoom in and show you closer. This is what just turned into Depression 9, very loosely organized. These other disturbances look quite a bit better, but let's zoom in on that. This track is going to make landfall for this likely Harold, a tropical storm, tomorrow around midday or just before mid-morning hours in South Texas. The Atlantic just getting going, Trace, and we'll have to watch this tomorrow, especially closely.
So much to pay attention to. Thanks so much, Colin. All right, over to Maui now and those deadly wildfires. President Biden and the First Lady are getting a first-hand look at the massive destruction. The Bidens are hearing from families impacted by the tragedy. Right now, the Maui County Mayor says over 100 people have been confirmed dead and at least 850 others are still missing. He also thanks the FBI and local police for locating over 1,200 people. All right, next on Now, the first debate of the primary season is only a few days away. Why former President Donald Trump won't be joining them and where he stands in the polls.
The Simpsons, weeknights at 8, beginning September 4th on CW44.
What time Monday?
8 o'clock.
Thank you.
Republican candidates are getting ready to square off on Wednesday in their first debate of the primary season. Former President Donald Trump, the biggest name in the GOP race, says he won't be joining them. He plans to do a separate interview. This comes as Mr. Trump and several co-defendants negotiated their bond terms today in Georgia. His bond is set at $200,000. All right, next on Now, what's old is new again. How a restaurant in New York is rebooting a 100-year-old concept to boost business.
Tonight's weather is brought to you by West Shore Home. Baths, windows, and doors for your home.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Eric Fisher. Hopefully you had a good return to the work week after a nice weekend. And tonight we've got mainly clear skies and just a light northeasterly breeze. We'll dip back into the 70s. Overall, pretty nice outside when we start Tuesday. We'll be at 75 at sunrise in Tampa, 76 over in Orlando. Ocala getting down to around 71. Hot day tomorrow. A lot of sunshine expected, up to 96 for a high temperature. Quickly climbing through the morning. Very warm midday and afternoon. Rain chances are quite low as we head through tomorrow afternoon. Up to 97 in Sarasota, 96 in Ocala. Tallahassee's up to 99, just shy of the triple digits as we head through the next 24 hours. We've got sunshine in the morning. A few fair weather clouds popping up in the afternoon, but not really expected to deliver any rainfall. As we look into Wednesday, still have that same northeasterly flow, maybe a tiny chance for a passing afternoon shower on Wednesday, but not expecting a lot of action, just a lot of heat. 95 on Wednesday, 94 on Thursday, all featuring a good amount of sun. So we continue to cook across the state. week. Maybe that slight risk for a passing shower, but there won't be anything organized or widespread. That allows us to see the mid-90s right on through the work week and even into next weekend. The air conditioners are still working. How about the tropics? Lots going on right now. We have what's left of Hillary after bringing that heavy rainfall across the southwest. Those remnants are now moving toward the Pacific Northwest. We also have potential tropical cyclone 9, which is in the Gulf, not headed toward Florida, but this one's moving more toward Texas. We've got Franklin, which is moving toward Hispaniola, Gert, which is kind of falling apart, and Emily, which is also falling apart, and Harold is the next name on the list. When it comes to that next one in the Gulf, this is moving more toward Corpus Christi, Brownsville area. And this could become a tropical storm, so we'll be watching that to see if it brings any flooding rainfall into South Texas later this week. But not moving toward Florida. It's a lot of sunshine, a lot of heat for us. Next chance for some more maybe organized thunderstorms is toward the end of next weekend.
The restaurant business can be challenging, but a restaurant in New York is reviving an old idea that's bringing success. Ken Malestina shows us how the automat may be making a comeback. Wow, interesting work there. Brooklyn Dumpling Shop has 8 locations in the New York area and Texas, but soon they'll be expanding to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, and Canada. All right, technology is also ramping up at fast food restaurants. The owner of Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC, Yum Brands, is working toward digital transactions. The chief financial officer says he wants at least one part of a customer's transaction to be digital. That could mean using the company's website, kiosk, or mobile app. The company is currently testing artificial intelligence for drive-through orders. All right, still to come, a shocking sibling surprise for one woman in Baltimore. The dozens of siblings she found through a genetic service. That's after the break.
My gut feeling is this is the tip of the iceberg.
You want to know what we care about? We care about the truth.
Law and Order SVU, weeknights at 11 on CW44.
A lifelong search for family finally answered.
That one constant thing we can go, 2046, that's our number.
Alleviating back-to-school anxiety.
If we can empower them to feel like they're responsible for their own safety and that there's things that they can do to feel safe.
Plus, Spain celebrating a fantastic first in women's sports.
Spain wins the World Cup!
And finding pets in Maui a forever home.
We want people to know that there is hope through all of this, and we need people to keep the hope alive.
Lifelong questions are finally being answered for a Baltimore area woman after discovering she has much more people connected to her than she thought, all thanks to a genetic service. Paul Gessler shares her story. Wow, special story there. Sperm donation can be open or closed. Open generally means the parties involved know each other's full identity. Closed usually means all parties involved expect total anonymity. All right, now some of the moments that matter most in your community. And believe it or not, man's best friend just got even more helpful. Next on Now, how researchers at UC Santa Barbara think dogs could help detect COVID, and why Nissan is recalling thousands of their sedans. That's after the break.
Tampa Bay Now News at 10 is brought to you by the law offices of Catania and Catania.
To your health now. New data shows many people are skipping doses of life-saving prescription drugs because they think they can't afford them. A Kaiser Family Foundation poll finds 44% of people 65 and older are not aware that the price of insulin is now capped at $35 a month. And about 1/3 don't know new limits on out-of-pocket prescription drug costs are happening in the coming years. This is because of the Inflation Reduction Act. In 2025, the annual out-of-pocket cap will drop to $2,000. And as more kids head back to school, parents and kids may worry about very different problems. Ivan Rodriguez spoke with us to find out what people can do to make sure their kids go into school feeling right. A new study shows dogs may be detecting COVID-19 infections better than some of the current technology we use. Researchers at UC Santa Barbara reviewed dozens of studies from around the world. They say the findings demonstrate trained COVID-19 scent dogs are more efficient than PCR tests as well as home antigen tests. The dogs can also detect the virus faster than the test and detect the virus in asymptomatic patients.
The longer the wait is between your test and your result, that's a latent period. During that time, you're running around spreading COVID and you don't know it. The dogs with a direct sniff will be done in seconds.
In some of the studies, trained dogs give a person a quick sniff, then sit down to signal the presence of COVID. In other cases, dogs are given sweat samples to smell. They can also differentiate COVID from other respiratory infections. Wow, amazing there. Not only can your pet be helpful, they can also be pricey. A new report says pet insurance is an average of $47 a month or $600 a year. Consumer Reports says most people are not happy with their coverage. They rated 8 companies and 6 received mid-range overall satisfaction scores and 2 bottomed out with unfavorable ratings. But there are other options out there.
Sock some money away and don't touch it. That's one of the things you can do. But you can also explore maybe a veterinary teaching hospital. There are 33 accredited veterinary teaching hospitals across the country that sometimes offer reduced price of care. Another option we employed at our house was telehealth for pets.
Pet owners who submitted claims of $1,000 or more usually received nearly a full reimbursement, getting their money's worth from their plan. And there's a new recall for Nissan Sentra owners. The company is recalling more than 235,000 Sentras because drivers could lose control of them. The issue is a front suspension rod that can bend on certain impacts like hitting a curb. Nissan will send letters to owners in October inviting them to have their cars inspected if they experience steering issues. All right, next on Now, a rise in missing pets after the devastating wildfires in Maui.
We know that we are going to be inundated with animals for months and years to come.
How people are springing into action to find these pets a new home.
The Simpsons, weeknights at 8 beginning September 4th on CW44.
Future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Eric Fisher. Hopefully you had a good return to the work week after a nice weekend. And tonight we've got mainly clear skies and just a light northeasterly breeze. We'll dip back into the 70s. Overall, pretty nice outside when we start Tuesday. We'll be at 75 at sunrise in Tampa, 76 over in Orlando. Ocala getting down to around 71. Hot day tomorrow. A lot of sunshine expected, up to 96 for a high temperature. Quickly climbing through the morning, very warm midday and afternoon. Rain chances are quite low as we head through tomorrow afternoon. Up to 97 in Sarasota, 96 in Ocala. Tallahassee's up to 99, just shy of the triple digits as we head through the next 24 hours. We've got sunshine in the morning, a few fair weather clouds popping up in the afternoon, but not really expected to deliver any rainfall. As we look into Wednesday, still have that same northeasterly flow, maybe a tiny chance for a passing afternoon shower on Wednesday, but not expecting a lot of action, just a lot of heat. 95 on Wednesday, 94 on Thursday, all featuring a good amount of sun. So we continue to cook across the state. Rain chances are fairly minimal this week, maybe that slight risk for a passing shower, but there won't be anything organized or widespread. That allows us to see the mid-90s right on through the work week and even into next weekend. The air conditioners are still working. How about the tropics? Lots going on right now. We have what's left of Hillary after bringing that heavy rainfall across the southwest. Those remnants are now moving toward the Pacific Northwest. We also have potential tropical cyclone 9, which is in the Gulf, not headed toward Florida, but this one's moving more toward Texas. We've got Franklin, which is moving toward Hispaniola, Gert, which is kind of falling apart, and Emily, which is also falling apart, and Harold is the next name on the list. When it comes to that next one in the Gulf, this is moving more toward Corpus Christi, Brownsville area. And this could become a tropical storm, so we'll be watching that to see if it brings any flooding rainfall into South Texas later this week. But not moving toward Florida. It's a lot of sunshine, a lot of heat for us. Next chance for some more maybe organized thunderstorms is toward the end of next weekend.
Finally on your Monday night, hope now. The Maui wildfires leaving a devastating impact on the island, including its animals. But thankfully, people across the country are stepping up to help. Such special and amazing work there. Thank you so much for watching tonight, by the way. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. Have an absolutely beautiful night and stay safe out there.
The Simpsons, weeknights at 8 beginning September 4th on CW44.
I'm going to Moe's.
Chug, chug, chug.